Hi, Joanna.
Hey, how
How,
are you? Good to see you.
you too. How was your long weekend?
You know, every day was kind of like every other day during quarantine, but it was good. It was good.
I just realized
How was
that
your?
like a long weekend for a lot of people is just a normal weekend.
Yes, yes. When this quarantine began, well, really when it first started, I was pretty lethargic. I was a person who was like, all right, time for some snacks, time for some Netflix, time for, to do anything but active. Just totally chill out, quarantine and chill. Um, and then it hit me. I was like, enough of this. The weather's gonna be nice. I gotta get out. I have to do something. And at that point, I wasn't making any music. It was really hard. It still is difficult to find the energy and the headspace to practice. That's beside the point. So I decided, you know what? I need a goal. I need a goal that's not music related and something that can help me as a human, me as Joanna. And so I had a bike while I was at Rice, and I shipped it back in 2017. And I hadn't opened the box, and I thought, I think this is the time. I think this is the time we need to open this box up and see how it is. And so I tried to put it together. Of course, it failed. So I brought it to the bike shop, which luckily was still open because bike repair is an essential business in New Jersey. So thank you. And I just April 1st, I took my first ride. I could barely go 5 miles. I was like completely winded. Like, what did I do to myself? And yeah, by the end of April, I was riding 25 miles and just kind of saying, let's do this. And so I decided to train for triathlon. And we'll see how that goes. I've been biking and running. Of course, I can't swim right now because there are no pools that are open. But I always have been a good swimmer, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that like I still am, and all of this other training is can help my stamina throughout the swim. But we will see. The race I want to do, hopefully, is in the middle of July, but it is in New Jersey, so we'll see if we're allowed to gather in groups of more than, I think it's 25 now. So we'll see. But I mean, it really has been a wonderful fitness journey. Biking, running, a lot of Zumba, a lot of yoga, just things to bring me, peace mentally, physically, find some quiet, find some strength too, uh, emotionally and physically, which has been more fulfilling than I thought it could be. So,
That's so good. I actually so we interviewed Alana Yusefian, who's a violinist, and she'd been doing a lot of yoga, and I've seen a bunch of my musician friends starting to take up yoga, and I feel like it would be, especially right now, a really grounding thing to be, maybe even especially as a musician or even as a singer, just to get like close to your own body in a way that's kind of comparable to singing.
oh, absolutely. I think they are so closely related in the way that every breath you take is a cleansing breath, and you really take a deep breath and you feel your whole body expanding. And I think something that's also beautiful about the practice is that you are fully aware. This might sound kind of odd, but to me, I am fully aware of where my limbs are at all times. There is total full body connection from your fingertips to your elbow to your knee to the back of your calf to your big toe to your little toe. You just are so aware of every part of your body. And I think that sort of awareness is key on stage, to really be comfortable in your skin and to know, I don't know, like just how to present yourself and feel like, hey, I have this grounding all the way through my heels, roots through the ground, and here I am, and I feel powerful in my own stance.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing to kind of watch blossom within yourself. Um, yeah, I love yoga. I could talk all day about it.
That's so nice. Do you start before quarantine? Like, have you been a yogi for a while?
Okay. I wouldn't call myself a yogi. I don't think I'm not like that advanced. But yeah, I started actually at Rice with a couple good friends, and we would go to class together. There was a heated flow class that I loved that would play music actually. So maybe the mind wasn't so quiet, but I was bopping, which was awesome. Um, but yeah, I think it's evolved from then, from maybe like 2015, 2016 to now. Wow, that's a long time. It never hit me that like I've actually been practicing yoga for like 4 to 5 years, which is awesome. Wow, good job, me. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I do a lot. I mean, I use it for warm ups before shows. I know when I was playing the Vixen in the Cunning Little Vixen at the Glimmer Glass Festival, it was a very, very physical production. And I was also doing West Side Story at the same time. So, like, my body was totally active, but that was a huge warm up for me to really just take time to be still and find that full body connection to bring it to the stage. But yeah, so it has started way before quarantine and has been kind of a consistent um, through life.
Have you ever played a part where you feel like you have to work really, really hard to get into the mind of the character because it's different from who you are?
Hmm. You know, that's so interesting. I something that these are big flashbacks right now to undergrad voice lessons. Okay, I was a freshman in undergrad, and this has always been a problem for me. I'm a very okay, maybe not a problem, but I'm a very physical performer, and you can even tell when I talk. Here are my hands. Here's my head. Like, yeah, yeah. I love movement, and movement has been a big part. Oh my god, I got to put my hands down now. No, but movement has been a big part of who I am, and even in my singing. And so, flashback, teachers like, hey, enough. Put the hands down. Stop like dancing around. Put them behind your back. Be still. I promise this relates. So my whole life has kind of been this fight against the urge to be in motion with the music because I feel music so like I don't know, like deeply in my body that I just have to move to it. And I think that's really why I loved the study of Dalcroze rhythmics. It's the internalization of rhythm. And oh my gosh, that was my jam. My teacher would call me a eurythmics rock star. Thank you, Stephen Neely. Love you. But it has been a fight to stay still while I perform. And so I think I have found the most challenge in roles where you just have to stand and be powerful within stillness. It's amazing when you can find it and you think, oh, you should be able to do that. You can hold tree pose for an hour. No, I can't. It's so hard when you're communicating and you're staying still. So I think maybe one of the largest challenges was actually most recently I was Rosina in The Ghost in Versailles, and when you play a character of royalty or of higher stature, also in the show she was older, like in her 40s, which I'm not. Not that 40s is old, but in relation to the other characters, older. So how do you play older royalty when you're, you know, 26 and you just want to like dance it out? Like it's kind of a step outside of who I am, but it was great. I think I also kind of found that in Cleopatra as well. Yay, Baroque, yay, Handel. Um, when you find, although I will say, I do think it's easier to find stillness in early music. Yes, you want to, move around to the coloratura, but when you are fully emoting with this, like, pristine line that you can also create yourself, in your ornaments and bring your like bring me, Joanna, to Cleopatra. I think that's where you find the most freedom and the most stillness because you are you. You're not someone else, which is brilliant and thrilling and freeing. So I totally went on a tangent, but
No, that's perfect.
that's yeah, I think those are challenges, but
So as you are thinking about early music, let's like segue into Handel in Love. So
yes.
it was your Ars Lyrica debut.
Yay!
Um and it was such a fun program to watch. And
Oh,
I feel like you, even though you had to like stand still, the way you like expressed emotion with your face and your hands and like your body language toward Trey, who was also on stage with you, was it was like so joyful because we were like, wow, she really loves this, and that makes me really love it.
yeah, I sure did. I loved every moment of that. I was so excited when Matthew sent me the email about the program. Like, I don't even know how long before, maybe like 8 months before, like a long time. So there was a lot of excitement building up to it. And it had been a long time for me since I had sung Handel, outside of an audition. Because I always bring Handel into auditions, even if companies, don't necessarily program it, because I love it. I think it shows who I am. Um, so, anywho, I was thrilled, like completely thrilled to be doing it. And not to mention being able to sing with, oh, like A plus, best ensemble ever, with such sensitive players who are just so open and loving in every way, in their playing, in their personalities. Um, yeah, I mean, how could you not love it? And some of the rep we got to sing was amazing. The the cantata, it's not done a lot. I think there was maybe 2 recordings I found potentially. Like I don't even remember now because there's a time that you listen, and then you stop, so you can do it yourself and put your own stamp on it. But man, it was so thrilling to write my own ornaments again and to say, what do I want to say with this? Like, what does Joanna want to bring to this? Bring to this music? And it was a thrilling switch. So right before the concert, like literally, I think 3 days before our first rehearsal, I was in Canada doing La Boheme. And life of a singer, I guess. Like, you come home, you switch your bags, and you get on a plane, and you go somewhere else. So singing Puccini 3 days prior to, switch the gears to be singing Quick Coloratura in Se Cara, Se Bella, is kind of a brain switch and a technical switch. But once I got in that groove, it was like, no stopping me now.
I remember in Handel in Love, there were 2 pieces and then an encore. So one of the pieces was Ciao Leah, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And then I know the encore was Happy Wee because it still gets stuck in my head so often.
Oh, that was so fun. I talk about an earworm, okay? You leave and you're still humming it. At least I was.
It is unreal. I think the entire audience left the hall being like,
Yes. How could you not?
If you had to choose like one piece that you wanted me to highlight the most, which one would it be and why?
I really loved my aria in Cecilia. I did. It was like I loved singing it. I loved singing it, and I loved writing the ornaments for it. I remember I was like I had written some, and while I was in Canada, I was sitting with them, and I said, no, I don't like those. Let's throw them out. And so I rewrote them before, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks before I got to Houston, and because I said I don't feel them anymore. They're not who I am. They're not sitting right with me. And so I felt like that was probably like the freshest take on who I was at that moment in the music.
That's so cool. It's such an interesting thing to feel like you can evolve something as you evolve, even like in the course of a month. Like in a month you had changed enough to warrant a rewrite of something.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you sit with something, and of course, when you write something first, you're like, that was a stroke of genius. Okay, right? You're like, nailed it. Like that's the Handel couldn't have written that. Psych. And then you revisit it. You say, okay, let's take it down 5 notches. That wasn't so great. Let's write that again. Also, sometimes something feels good in your voice one day, and you revisit it and say, I know that I could do that better, or this note seems odd in this passage that I wrote. Let's put it up, put it down, or change direction. Let's put a turn here. Let's put, who knows? Well, whatever kind of strikes you, and I think that's what keeps Baroque music alive. It is living and breathing. I think what we have on the page is just like the blueprint, and we get to be the designers and like say, okay, well, what color do we want this wall? And oh, should we put a rug on the ground? Put a piece of artwork up? Oh, is that we have the freedom within these parameters to truly create, and that's what we did.
I remember you telling me about your performance in Louisiana, which I might be able to get a hold of the recording. I honestly hope I can, because
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that you and Aaron had like this moment where you were like, I'm going to do something new. And he was like, "Ooh, I'll take your something new and raise you one," like during the performance.
Yes, yes. I can you tell I'm like smiling like a fool right now? It's so much fun when you are able to perform with someone who just kind of speaks your language, and you're on the same creative wavelength. And the thing is, when you know a style, you can play. You can have fun. I mean, of course there are rules that you play within, but you get to play. And when you're all playing by the same rules, anything is possible. So, I heard him do a little turn. Oh, he went the other way this time. Oh, okay, we'll mirror. Let's do it together. And then it just kind of blossoms. And the beauty of that performance, too, I think, was we only rehearsed that day. Like, we had one time through on our stuff, and before the show, well, yeah, I think we had one rehearsal, and we were like, okay, that's fine. But then before the concert, we went through and talked a little bit more about what exactly we wanted to do, like cadenzas together, because you can't totally make those up. You have to plan a little bit for breath and everything. And yeah, but wow, it was such a sense of freedom to be able to sing with someone who was so present in the moment. And that's what makes art, I think, totally worth it. Worth everything we have to do to be totally present with another person and a full ensemble, obviously, but making music.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So I have two tangents that I could go on, and I think the first I just want to touch on a tiny bit, because I think you've hit on what all artists and musicians are really missing, which is creating simultaneously with someone else.
Yes.
And you can't do it unless you live with another musician.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's been like a rough bit for you to like kind of let go of that and start with the earpiece recordings.
Yeah.
How was it, was it a shift, not only like mentally but also emotionally, to go from like, I'm gonna perform live with someone and it's gonna be incredible, to like, I'm gonna perform in this kind of canned way but still creating art?
Yeah, everything you just said. I think there was a huge shift for me in every way. I mean, the moment that everything kind of shut down, I think what was it, like March 13th? I was actually back in Alexandria, Louisiana. That weekend, I was supposed to sing a Mozart Requiem, and I had just flown in that morning, and rehearsal was going to start in like 2 hours, and the governor said no more than, I think, 250 people are allowed in one place. So, boom, like you get there with such excitement, and I love the Mozart Requiem. I was one of the soloists at Rice, and it's just a piece that like brings me a lot of peace when I sing. And so suddenly I was super excited about this, and then it was gone. And I said, okay, well, I guess I'll book a flight home tomorrow morning. And it's just odd when you feel something so, like, literally so close. Like, I could have been making music within the hour, and it's gone. And I guess that didn't really hit me until I got home. I said, oh my gosh, I was robbed of this moment of like sublime music making. And of course I was supposed to sing a Gilda and Rigoletto, which was canceled, but it kind of didn't bother me for a while, weirdly enough. I was like, well, okay, I'm canceled, everyone's canceled, like, we're all in this together. It was that kind of mentality. It's like, okay, we as artists will make it through together at the end. And then one day I didn't make music for a long time. And I decided to go back to some basics, and I took out some Schubert, and I took out some, songs that I haven't sung in forever. Okay, maybe not forever, but it seemed like forever. When the focus turns really more to opera, and not that you forget about, all the song rep that you learned, but it's just not on the front burner. And so I took out An die Musik, and I played and I sang and I just cried. And it hit me how much my soul missed creating, and how much, not just with other people, but like also with myself. Like being able to, give thanks to music. That's what the song's about, right? To music, and how much it has given me, and hopefully how much I've contributed to music in life, but how it's shaped me. And of course, collaborating with others is so much part of that. Like just the vibrations of other humans when you're in a room creating is unparalleled. And man, I missed it. I totally miss it. Doing recordings is great too. I've been, lucky enough to work with a friend, an accompanist, Grant. He's a wonderful coach. And we've been doing some musical theater. We did a piece a couple weeks ago, and we haven't finished this yet, but we're going to do some My Fair Lady now. That's Eliza Doolittle's my dream role. And I was like, you know what? Here's the space. Here's the time to have some passion projects and just sing out, Louise.
Spending these lonesome evenings with nothing to do but to live in dreams that I make up all by myself, dreaming that you're beside me. I picture the pretty stories only to wake up all by myself. What is the good of me by myself? Why was I born? Why am I living? What do I get? What am I giving? Why do I want a thing I daren't hope for? What can I hope for? I wish I knew. Why do I try to draw
It's things, it's music. Recently, it's just music that I have found that fills my soul that I didn't even know I needed. Yeah, I mean, I think virtual performance will be a way of the future, and I think it will be something that sticks around, even when we can all be in groups. If it's more live streams of live performances or fully online collaborations, I think that will stay, and I think it's a good thing. I really hope that people who have been reached during this time with online music making are inspired to buy a ticket. And I know a lot of people said, oh no, like we're giving out too much art for free. Like this is so bad. People are going to expect that music is free now and they're not going to support artists. And I don't see it. I don't see that being a problem. I really hope that if anything, people will come out of this saying, wow, music and artists and I mean, shoot, even if they think about Netflix, like, you know, Netflix helped me through this time. Well, guess who works on shows on Netflix? Artists, writers, like actors, singers, everybody. Like, it's all the artistic type who can lift up communities in times of sadness, trouble, joyful times too. Of course, music enhances everything. So I hope that coming out of this, people have a more open spirit to like come to live art and experience that in the flesh and be more supportive of the arts in general.
I think you put into words what so many people are feeling, and even like I'm not actively creating music, but like I'm feeling so like unfulfilled because all of the things that I would do to like be fulfilled, like go to concerts and go to museums and like go to new restaurants, all of those like semi-creative endeavors, you can't do them anymore.
No, I know it's weird, and I think that's part of the reason why I had such a big physical goal, something to fill that space. Yeah, I guess just something to fill that space. Period. End of thought. Like, and it was after like a good bit of training when I sat down and played Ani Musik that it hit me. I was like, wow, I've kind of like shut off my soul, maybe in a preservation type of way, to say like, okay, we're not gonna talk about this big looming rain cloud over here and just like project sunlight onto it and pretend that it's not there. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird when a piece of your soul goes missing, I guess. But it's coming back, and I think it will be stronger than it was before.
So my other tangent I wanted to go on was that everyone's been watching a lot of Netflix, but it's really easy for me to get like really invested in characters. And then I think to myself, like, sure, why can't I like be that person? You know, like why can't I do this thing and travel the world and meet all these people? When you play a character in an opera, do you feel like part of you gets to experience the world through that character's eyes, or do you think it's more like a separate persona? Like you don't talk about Joanna in West Side Story, you talk about Joanna playing someone, you know?
Sorry, there's so many thoughts kind of swirling through my head about this because I think it's such an interesting study. For me, I like to kind of collect qualities from the characters. I feel like that is so interesting. When you get to see the world through a certain lens for a bit, and you take a step back and you say, okay, here's me. Here's that person. But it's always bringing yourself to it. So it's like, what can I learn from this character? Also, like, what can I kind of teach this character in a way?
Yeah.
And like how can I wed this and be my full authentic self in this person? And that's what makes every performance different. I mean, of course, you hit the same blocking and you have the same space, but every time I hit the stage, it's a little different. Not in an unsafe way to my, colleagues, but of course, obviously, duh. But you bring that day's adventure with you to the stage. And I think a character I think that kind of taught me the most, and I didn't ask you that, but was maybe the vixen and the cunning little vixen. I think I mentioned it earlier. So I showed up at Glimmerglass and I was the cover for the title role of this opera. And day 2 of rehearsal, the woman singing the role left and I filled the shoes and was suddenly like thrust into this title role moment. And day 1, I staged all of Act 1 and part of Act 2. And it was like the world was spinning, and the vixen is so spunky and herself, and can I say badass? Badass, okay? Like, just kind of just amazing in the way that I needed the character's strength for myself to like bring me through this time and to give me the freedom to be me. And so I will never, and so that's why now for me, foxes are a big symbol and I love them. And I'm like, they're my spirit animal. Because I really think they are. It's so interesting how like things are kind of put in your path. I'm a firm believer of this. Things are put in your path to teach you things and that you bring them along with you. And the best thing you can say along the journey is yes. And to just go for it 100%. And I think that's really who I am. When I do something, I do it. Like I am committed. And I think she really taught me that strength that I can kind of carry with me and bring to other aspects of my life. Not that I didn't have strength before, but it was a newfound, like, okay, I can do this. Even though, sometimes you feel like imposter syndrome of like, I don't deserve this, or like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is super weird. Why did they pick me? Like, insert any sort of self-talk here, right? We all have it. Don't act like you don't, everybody. We all do. It's something that, it's just that inner strength that I can kind of muster up and say, yeah, I can do this. Let's roll. We got it. Be me. Don't be apologetic.
I feel like it's like such a, I think to myself, like it must be so incredible to have that like cool experience of getting to like step into other people's lives for a second. But yeah. I'm sure it must also be like stress out the wazoo, and you have to spend so much time learning this music and then memorizing the blocking, and you've got 14-hour days and then 2 performances a day. And I think there's a lot of ugliness that comes with the beauty that you're talking about.
I mean, what the public sees is, I don't know, 5% of our work. When it comes to learning music and translating and interpreting and rehearsal process and coachings and, it's like all prep performance. There it is, right there. It's the most exciting time. Well, yes, it's obviously very exciting, but I also find a lot of exciting moments throughout the discovery of music and throughout a character. For me, I've always been really lucky that part of my skill set, I guess the toolbox again, I've always been able to learn music very quickly, and it's a skill that, has gotten me work, has gotten me jump in work, and has been very useful. I don't like to learn music that, in a day's notice. I've done it before. I've been called the night before to come fly in to sing a dress rehearsal of a new piece, a world premiere that I learned that day. like it's amazing. Like that whole situation was incredibly stressful and wonderful. But I love taking the time to really kind of comb through and like read source material and like read the text and say like, why does this person pick this word?
Yeah.
Or especially in other languages too. I mean, I sing mostly in Italian, so thinking like, why was this verb chosen instead of this verb? I mean, they mean the same thing. I wonder, like, what's the difference here? Like, what are the connotations? And kind of like thinking about it and researching and, you know, Google becomes your best friend. Google and your verb book and your dictionary, and you can just kind of really, I think that really informs characters. I think that's what makes them different, like their word choices. Of course, how the composer said it and why this way. And I think you could always ask why 1,000 times. I mean, sure, it'll put you down a rabbit hole, so don't ask why too many times. But it really is fun to have the brain kind of tick and say, who is this person, and figure it all out.
Yeah. Did you imagine when you were little that this would be your career?
I mean, if you were to tell me in high school, like, that I would be sitting here, okay, I don't mean right here, like, in the basement, but, having, like, you know, sung, I'm sorry, if you were to tell me that I have, like, sung in Europe and, like, on the stage of the Met and with, like, ensembles and companies, like, famous companies in this country, I would have probably laughed. I mean, in high school, I've always loved theater and I've always loved music. I've always been musical, period. Full stop. That has been a part of who I am since I was little. But really, I didn't know that music was something you could do. Like, I didn't know you could major in it in college until I got this email. I was a junior in high school. Yeah, I was a junior. And I got this email from Classical Singer magazine for their classical singer vocal competition. And there was a high school age category, and it was at Westminster Choir College, which is very close to where I live. And I showed my mom, and she said, okay, let's do it. Let's sign up and go. You know, what is there to lose? I don't even remember what I sang. I think I sang, like, My White Knight from the Music Man. Yeah, there had to be other songs. I truly don't even know what they were. Doesn't matter what they were. But I went and I won. And so I went to New York for the semifinals.
Oh, my God.
And while I was there in the semifinals, I met this woman who, Caroline Smith, she works at DePaul University. Actually, I think she's retiring this year. And I bet she has no idea the effect that she had on my life. I owe her a whole heck of a lot. But she heard me in my audition, I think in a master class, and said, hey, you have what it takes to major in music. Like, come out to my summer program. I was like, okay, I guess. Like, let me talk to my mom. And yeah, fast forward that summer, I went out to DePaul University for a week, and it was there that I realized, oh my gosh, music and voice is something that I can actually study and make a career and get a degree in and do. I had no idea. I thought it was just like my passion, which it is, but I didn't know I could turn my greatest passion hobby into a life.
Yeah.
And there have been many, many, many people along the way who've said, hey, you've got what this takes. Let's do it. I mean, there was a very important coach for me in undergrad, Karen Berm, who actually is now at Rice, and it was there my second year of my master's. But, you know, she sat me down one day and said, hey, you can make this happen, but you need to work. Like, singing and, like, music making, like, it's all very natural to you.
Yeah.
But you need to work harder. You need to put that work in to be the cut above, to be at the next level. Because, you know, you will garner things because of how naturally it comes to you. But you need to be the top of the pack. You need to lead the way. And so she was another person who was, you know, put in my path to say, hey, this is possible, but you need to do it.
Yeah.
You need to. And that voice is always within me. So, I mean, I guess no. I would have no idea that I would be here right now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, what an incredible journey. And honestly, like one that's just beginning for you.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I hope so. I do hope it's the start of a long musical life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever twists and turns this musical life may take, I'm here for it. I'm holding on to the reins.
Accenti